the nuclear industry as a whole in the United States has got real problems. It's got tens of billions of dollars of problems, which either the government says we're pro it, or we're just going to put sticking plasters over this, because I think the Democrats would say that perhaps they are not as pro as the Republicans are, which we then get into this political situation in the United States. Certainly our reading from outside. So again, that uncertainty continues. What are the discussions that are happening in country, in the States, North America?
As far as what specifically?
Well, as regards to the
like the political situation.
Yeah, the political attitude to nuclear being something which both sides can agree on. It becomes cross-party, strategically important, as opposed to Democrats using it against the Republicans and the Republicans using it against the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
We just see this sort of infighting, as opposed to just could you get on and tell us what the infrastructure for our energy needs are going to be for the next 40 years, please?
Right. It's kind of tough to say. I think you're right that in general the Republicans are more in support than the Democrats, although there are some Democrats that are fully in support, especially given the the higher propensity for Democrats to be concerned with climate change and carbon emissions and such. And that certainly seems to be a positive sentiment growth situation with nuclear as part of a solution in the States and everywhere. I think it being an election year makes it a little bit tricky still, because I think that there's, we have all these positive things potentially coming from the working group and this thing that we've been waiting for 2 years now. And if Trump is not reelected, depending on who wins, that could have an effect on all of these policies. So it's really hard to kind of hang your hat on exactly what we're going to get from all of this. So obviously Bernie Sanders is anti-nuclear, Bloomberg is pro-nuclear. I don't know, it seems like those two people at this point might have the better chance. But then again, if I had to bet, I'd bet that Trump probably wins, although I'm not really into betting on these sort of things. But I do think he still has the upper hand as the incumbent. And as long as the economy can hang on, he probably has a good chance.
But this isn't just political speak, Right. We've got to appease lots of groups, so let's start a process talking around nuclear solution, budgets, etc. But then, since the election's over, well, things get put on hold again. Let's leave it to market forces. We've seen that on numerous occasions in numerous countries all around the world. Is there a danger of that?
I suppose. There's always a political danger, which is honestly why I don't put a whole lot of weight in the working group 232 situation, and I kind of never have. I like to have exposure to some U.S. companies that I like, regardless of the situation, overall, long-term macro, and just in case, not only as a speculation on 232 in the working group, but because I like those companies. Yeah. And the fact that they're in the US gives me some exposure to that. So, and regardless of what does come out of it, I think, or just positive sentiment, okay, nuclear is a growth industry. Working group comes out with all these great recommendations. The government's going to buy all this uranium. SMRs, awesome. Growing sentiment, life extensions. The demand supply situation is clear. If you look at like a long-term chart, it's stunningly clear. But the equities aren't going to move until the price moves. It's like everybody needs to see confirmation of all of this great sentiment, all of this great fundamental.
But what does that mean? What does it mean? Justin, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You're going like
price. We need the price to go up. That's what it means.
Yeah, but no one's going to. I know that's what we want, and of course we expect. But you say that's going to be moved by sentiment based on all of these things. What are all of these things? It's kind of catch-22 here, and it's been a catch-22 for far too long. Someone's got to blink first and go. And I haven't found anyone who seems to know too much about what's going on. People have been calling it wrong for 2-3 years here. So What do you think is that moment
It's
this year? What's happening?
potentially, yes. It very well could be. It's the industry moves so incredibly slow. I mean, it's glacial. And so I think that adds to investor frustration is this seeing all of the positive things almost on a daily or weekly basis, all of these great stories, whether it's further supply destruction or further demand growth, but the time that it takes for these things, for the fundamentals to play out and actually affect the price and get it to move is very, very slow. It's very slow. And it's very difficult to predict in the short term.
So what are you hearing? Yeah, I mean, people write to you, they speak to you, you got your newsletter going on.
Yeah.
And we're talking about sentiment here again, a nice warm fluffy thing called sentiment. What are they saying to you? What are their hopes? What are their expectations? What are the
We're
big
hearing,
themes?
well, I think the hopes and expectations are clear that it seems that we've got a serious, incredible risk reward opportunity in a contrarian bet. That's the hopes and the expectations.
Up there.
That this plays out over the course of the next, I know you don't want to hear this, over the next 6 months to a year, you've heard it 1,000 times. Those are the expectations and the hopes. What am I hearing? I'm hearing that, well, first of all, I'm seeing that other aspects of the fuel cycle are rising. That's number one positive, and they're not coming down. So that's really, really positive, and we can talk more about that if you'd like. What I'm hearing is that there is the most long-term contract discussions happening right now since Fukushima. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that producers, so you basically have Kazatomprom, Cameco, Orano, and to some extent Uranium One, that actually have any sort of meaningful production available for term contracting. And I'm hearing that these producers are rejecting offers in the 40s for long-term. And when I say long-term, beyond, let's say 5 years contracts, they're turning them down. And Cameco announced they signed 30-something million pounds they said at a price that we like. They can't say the numbers because they probably signed an NDA, but they, we can assume that's probably in the 40s if it's less than 5 years, and it could even be higher. So we're hearing that term contract discussions are increasing to the point where it's clear that the demand is coming back to the table. Mm-hmm. That's what we're hearing from multiple trustworthy sources. We have yet to see the spot price react to that. The spot market is dead. Like, I've never seen it this dead for this long. It's quite frustrating because that's what the market watches. But at the same time, it's reassuring because there's just no buyers there. There's a small amount of trading activity. There's almost no end user buying, but the price is holding. Okay, so that means that there isn't some indiscriminate seller in the spot market. There just isn't. Whether that's the Japanese selling inventory, because Kazatomprom is not there. I know BHP just throws their uranium into the spot market at any price, but the price is holding. So we're not seeing dumping, and it's pretty well understood that the spot market is relatively thin.